Welcome back to the Basement Boys. Here we are once again, second time in a week, calling a record.
Um,
All the record.
but we're back here, breaking down the games for this week's slate. Week 3 coming at you. It's Thursday night here right now. Get ready for this Miami Buffalo game. It's gonna be an interesting one. I don't think it's gonna completely go as everybody thinks, but nonetheless, football is back again for week 3.
Yep, we're back. I'm excited. Some good games on the slate, and a bunch of weird ones.
Yeah, there's gonna be a decent game. Some decent games this week. First 2 on the slate, not so much. I mean, we got Miami, Buffalo, and then Green Bay, Cleveland. Not the ones everybody wants to be watching.
No.
I mean, Miami versus the Bills here. I mean, Miami's looked like trash 2 weeks in a row. I mean, they picked it up a little bit last week against New England, but at the same time, they have no defense.
I think that's what's going to hold them back. Their defense is very spotty.
Very
I don't expect.
They have nothing in the secondary. I mean, they got Fitzpatrick that they traded for, but I mean, he's a safety. He's only going to do so much. And then, you got Bradley Chubb, sure, but he's coming off injury this year. It's just not it. And then you're going against a top 2 team in the league in Buffalo, who absolutely spanked the Jets last week, coming back on a short week just to probably whoop your ass too.
Yeah, I mean, Miami's offense could come out firing. They do have options, but at the same time, I mean, their defense is not going to get a stop, really. I don't see them. They mess up one offensive drive, I think this game's probably over, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be Buffalo's game. I do think, though, there's going to be some points, not just, on Buffalo's side either. I think, Buffalo doesn't have the best defense either. And then you have no Ed Oliver. Milano is out tonight. So, I mean, I think we're going to see a little bit, especially from the running backs on tonight's game between Devon Achane and then also James Cook. I think we're going to see a lot out of the backfield tonight. And then, I think Tyreek Hill might be primed in this kind of slate with his types of routes against a team that plays mostly zone. I think this is going to be a night for them.
Yeah, I mean, we saw last week Tyreek Hill finally got that big play he's been waiting over a year for. He finally got it, and he actually had a solid game. I expect at least get one of those big plays again, even if it's not, 40, 50 yards, at least a 30-yard catch, a 20-yard catch here and there. He should have a solid game. I think Achane through the air will probably have a good game, getting him out in space. But on the other side, I think James Cook will have a good game, running or catching the ball. I think Josh Allen will be Josh Allen, and it's unfortunate for Miami, but that defense is pathetic.
Yeah, I mean it's time for them to hit the reset button, I think.
Yeah, I think this game will show them yet again. Through 3 weeks now that defense is not good.
It's atrocious.
Yeah, they're gonna need to look. They're probably going to be going into this offseason trying to find ways to rebuild that corner room because it's bad. And then even just someone to rush a passer. Anyone.
I know. If you were taking the props tonight, which one you taking tonight? What's the go-to here? I mean, besides Buffalo minus 800.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it's not even worth it, honestly. But I like Josh Allen, over 6.5 rush attempts. I think the line is he's hit this line like 7 out of 10. He's pretty consistent with it. And if this is a shootout like it could be, if Miami plays well on offense, Josh Allen always runs in these big games. He always uses his legs when he needs to in those tight games. So he should have a fun one running the ball. And I think Tyreek Hill just 50 yards. I think that's probably a pretty good lock, if I could say.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Hill's prime, for 40, 50 yards at least tonight. Especially with the potential volume that can come from, playing catch up, having them start running the ball, abandon the run pretty fast. I mean, the other thing is though, like it's gonna depend a lot on how the game goes because as we've seen, Buffalo week one could not stop the run, but a much better offensive line in Baltimore than it is Miami, and then flip it to last week against the Jets. They held Brees Hall to under 40. I mean, granted they were up big, but still, nonetheless, I think it's gonna be interesting seeing that. Hill's gonna be primed. Allen, same thing. The only thing that scares me with that is like again, same thing. If they get up big, it's gonna be tough because I mean Miami's got one sack each game, and I mean one against Daniel Jones and their offensive line, and then once again they got one more against the Pats. So it's gonna be a tough one. I do like both of those. It's got Allen's the only one that scares me a little bit though.
I like those two, and then I also like, I think James Cook receiving yards is at 12 and a half. 12 and a half. I like the over on that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Miami gives up a lot of yards through the backfield in the pass game, and James Cook he just needs to break one, which shouldn't be too hard against this Miami defense.
I was gonna say that was my go-to tonight is James Cook over 15 receiving. I mean, like you said, lines at 12 and a half. I mean, literally that's one catch. 20 yards. That's it. I mean, especially I think they might come out the gate tonight just throwing the ball. I mean, just try to put this out of play real quick, and I think that's what they're gonna do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it should be a fun game though. Maybe Miami makes it a game. I'm hoping so. It would be a nice watch, but
yeah, put it over 50 tonight. Come on.
I thought about the over, but it's risky with that Miami team.
I can see especially it at a 12 and a half, spread here. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah, Buffalo could go up quick, and then it just becomes chewing clock game the whole second half.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough tonight.
But yeah, should be fun.
Should be an intro. We got football still, nonetheless.
I think everyone though is expecting this game to be a clear Buffalo win and
over. Yeah, I mean, past shows like Buffalo's blowing them out recently, but at the same time, Miami's kept them a lot close.
I think they've won the last. Josh Allen's 8-0 at home against Miami, I believe, which is a pretty nice record there. So I don't expect that changing. Yeah, should be good.
So that brings us down over to Green Bay, playing in Cleveland. Again, I think this is going to be a one-sided kind of game. Browns struggle on the offensive side. Green Bay really, they're really big on the defensive side of the ball now. Probably going to see Flacco on his back a few times. Big news just happened, though. Tucker Kraft, with a knee injury today. That's huge, depending on how big this injury is going forward. Maybe not so much this week, but going forward after this week. Nonetheless, I mean, regardless, Tucker Kraft plays, doesn't play, Packers are going to roll. I feel like there's a clear-cut one.
What, clear-cut prop you're taking here?
The only prop I'm taking is good old... I think I'm going touchdown scorer on this one. I think especially now with Tucker Kraft probably not going to be playing, potentially. Mm-hmm. I might be taking a Romeo Doubs touchdown on this one. He's killing it. I mean, Josh Jacobs, potentially. I mean, it's just not even worth it. It's like minus 320 at this point for him. Yeah, so, I don't know. I am excited to see Judkins, though, a little more this week. He did get some touches last week, finally getting going. So, interested to see what happens with him.
Also, I think online, on the books, it was currently at 2.5 receptions for Golden. I think if Tucker Kraft, with the injury, I think you could see a lot more Golden as they still try to work him into this offense, and especially no Jaden Reed. That Tucker Kraft injury will be huge. I think he could definitely see some work. So if that line is at 2.5, I would highly recommend taking that and locking it in.
I know. I'm looking at it right now, and they literally pretty much took all the receivers off the board in Green Bay for the moment. No surprise there with Tucker Kraft going down.
Yeah, no, that's unfortunate, but yeah,
But
I think Golden will have a solid day as well. I think this should. I also like Joe Flacco on the over for the attempts. I think
I don't
Golden
know
will.
because if they get down big, that's where it gets tough. They put the next guy in. My big thing, I
Yeah,
would be big on either Judkins or Samson receptions though, just because you're playing from behind. That pass rush, you're gonna be dumping the ball off all day. You know they're gonna be looking at him. They're gonna be looking at Fannin, the Joku. I think those are the guys you should probably target in this game.
yeah. I'm just worried about Judkins and the Samson because of the split. Judkins got like half a week into the game last week, and he got a decent split. What's the split look like now with the full week of practice?
Yeah,
So I'm just kind of eyeballing those. I want to see what the workload looks like for both of these guys. I know Samson has struggled on the ground, but he's been pretty effective in the past game. Granted, they've been down big
true.
last game and struggling against a terrible Bengals defense. But so I'm gonna wait on those. I want to see what it looks like.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Um, Keep this rolling down the line here. We're gonna be going next. With the Jets go to Tampa Bay, face the Buccaneers after a big win in Tampa, a big win for Tampa the other night. Jets coming off a big loss. Fields out. Tyrod Taylor's getting the ball. Um, Again, I think Jets secondary is just overhyped at this point. I mean, they are not producing in the secondary. I think Tampa Bay is just going to come in. They're going to run the ball probably down their throat with Bucky Irving and Rashad White and just pick off where they just let up.
Yeah, no, I mean I expect another nice easy day on the offense there for the Jets. I mean, their secondary is not that bad, or not the Jets, sorry, the Bucks, but the secondary on the Jets isn't that bad. The problem is, I mean, they just don't really have that pass rush, and with Tristan Wirth potentially being back, you're looking at a tough day of getting to the quarterback,
Off
and
day.
Baker Mayfield will make you pay on that
I
if
agree.
he has time.
I mean, it's gonna be interesting because if this script goes as I think it will, we're gonna see a lot. We're gonna see Baker's volume way down probably after the first half. Um, what I personally like going into this game was I like Rashad White over 25 rushing yards.
I was about to say I think Rashad White could get a heavy mix against this weak team because they'll be up most of this game. They don't want to keep their guys fresh. So Rashad White over could definitely be in play.
And I mean, he didn't really play much week one against Atlanta in that close game, but last week, close game, towards the end there, those last like couple 4 or 5 minutes, Bucky Irving was like mixed in, but for the most part, it was Rashad White those last 5 minutes. And I mean, he had some encouraging carries too.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Buccaneers have shown that they're not just not going to use Rashad White. They still want to mix him in. They like what he does. And
Yeah.
Bucky Irvin is the main guy, but Rashad White's still there and he'll still get his touches. So I mean, the lines right now plus it's barely minus 112 on 25 yards for Rashad White on the ground.
I mean,
I think that's a pretty
I think
pretty
it's
nice
a
one.
pretty clear one.
Yeah.
Um, that means next we roll into LA, going over to the Lincoln Philly. I think this will probably be the game of the week. Between this one or the Colts Denver game, but I'm expecting a low scoring game here. Um, LA is playing really well. They just came off playing a weak Tennessee team, but they did what they were supposed to do. But now you get Philly rolling in after, just beat, Dallas by 4, just beat Kansas City by 3. Offense isn't really moving too much, kind of stagnant. Defense did okay. Probably should not have done as good as they did. And now you're gonna go face a team with two elite receivers and a decent running back with a veteran at quarterback and Matt Stafford here. I think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I think this will be a real close game. I think I could see this going either way. I think the Rams could click on all the way on this pass attack. I'm a little worried about the run game and Kyron Williams this week. I think it'll be a tough battle against that D line. they've been really stout against the run. And not just this year, but even last year. So I think that'll be tough. And we've seen Kyron struggling a bit early on. So I think I'm expecting a big game in terms of targets and catches for Puka Nakua this week. I
Oh,
think,
very easy. He's gonna be dragging a whole night.
yeah, I mean, his line currently at 6.5 minus 101. I think that should just be I think I'm taking that every day of the week on the over 7 catches. He's hit this, he's cleared this the past 2 weeks. And it's going to be a close game and a tough run D. He'll probably get a nice workload this week.
I'm in agreement with you on that one. It's gonna be a tough one for them. The only other one I really liked, just because of like how the script usually ends up in Philly, is I like Devontae Smith over 40 yards. Um, with AJ Brown there, it's pretty clear that Devontae Smith still is guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw it last week. He landed on his ass a little bit, got a little banged up, but still, he went right back to him after that when he came back in. I mean, that's who they're going for, and I think this is Devontae's, like, as much as AJ Brown is probably better. It's just he doesn't get the ball. He doesn't have the route running that Devontae has to get a little separation to get the ball better.
Yeah, I mean, they're two different type of receivers. AJ is going to be that big body, grab the ball, but Devontae's really just trying to get separation. He can make those catches, those great catches, but he's more of a separator. And I think with this current scheme, the Eagles are running. They haven't really had to throw the ball much, and when they do, they're looking for the separation. They're not looking to just get these check downs as much. They've kind of been looking for these big plays to Devontae Smith. So it is, and I mean, even on the checkdowns though, Dallas Goedert's been getting them this year, which is a little strange. Feels bad for AJ Brown fantasy managers, but you know, yeah, I expect Devontae to get a couple catches and he'll do his thing.
Yeah, it'll be a good game nonetheless over there.
Game of the week, probably.
Probably game of the
Yeah.
week. Them or
Game of the week
Denver
is
Colts.
I think, no, we got another one.
Ah, yeah, Monday night. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll get to
but
that.
it'll be a great game, I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, that brings us down over to Atlanta, going down to Carolina here. Clear cut. They moved the line. It's gone down a little bit. Falcons will start off at like minus 350. It's down to 218. I think that's a good grab. I think this is an easy win over in Carolina for the Falcons, just because Bijan's rolling after going after Minnesota for 140. Phoenix has played well 2 games. I mean, they're taking care of the ball. I just don't see a world where Bryce Young beats this team.
No, I don't really see a world. I think I'm expecting another big day out of Bijan through the pass or the run game. I think my favorite play on this really is just Atlanta to win and maybe a Bijan touchdown.
Honestly, I'm kind of looking at like an Algier touchdown in this one. Just because, like, if they get in the red zone, touches inside the 5 lean his way. He's got 6 touches inside the 5 this year to Bijan's 3, which is crazy to me, but nonetheless. Or honestly, I could lean towards even a Kyle Pitts touchdown in this one. Kyle Pitts is going off, and he's got a weak matchup this week.
No, yeah, I like Bijan simply because in his 4 games against Carolina, I believe, he's hit 5 touchdowns, and he's hit the line. Gotten a touchdown in 3 of those 4 games. So, I mean, last time he played him, he ran for like 150 or something stupid. So, Bijan looks like he's on a roll. He looks like he's still improving as a player. And this O line that they have there in Atlanta is really good. And I mean, I just think he'll just have enough volume to get one in there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is a clear-cut, easy game for Atlanta. Take care of business, go back home.
Yeah.
Brings us down to Indy and the Titans. Wait a minute, Indy and the Titans.
Yep.
Oh, I was thinking Denver is playing the Chargers. That's where I kept messing up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. Indy is going to Tennessee. I think this should be the way they're playing. This should be easy money. Um,
Yeah.
I was looking at this. I mean, it's a mismatch game. JT should have a decent game. Daniel Jones, if as long as he's still doing what he's doing, he'll be all right. One thing that caught my eye though were these receiving lines for Indy. I mean, granted, I expect they'd probably be up quick, but
Mhm.
Michael Pittman's line is so low right now. I have his line at 41.5 over under. I'm
Yeah, that's still
I'm
still
I'm
little.
leaning, alternate line 50 plus, sitting at 133. I
Yeah, it's a little.
It's low. That's an easy grab, I think, in this game. It seems like Daniel Jones tends to favor Pittman, him and
Yeah.
Warren. So with him throwing 250 game after game now, I think this is easy.
Yeah, I mean, John Jones has looked very good with this offense, as we've seen, and you know, Tennessee. I just struggle for them to. They're going to be on the field for a lot of the game. Cam Ward looks fine, but he doesn't really have help outside of that. And plus, on this Tennessee defense, a lot of guys are questionable right now between their top corner and Snead, top lineman and Trevondre Sweat. Plus their starting tackle and Latham is questionable. It's just, I think you just take the Colts money line here and probably just walk out with maybe I like the Pittman line. I think Jake T could have a real good game again
Yeah, I think this should be easy money,
here, just
regardless of
based
where.
on volume, even though they are playing a solid run. Yeah,
Yeah, I think this will be an easy one. Um, Colts are just on a roll. Titans on they're on the other side of the spectrum at this point, and they had a cold Rams team coming last week and put up 33. So
yeah,
I expect Colts to run this up a little bit.
yep,
That rolls into a good game for this upcoming week with a lot of questions around it. We got Las Vegas walking into Washington. Storyline here is strictly Jaden Daniels, questionable. I think he's still listed as doubtful with that knee sprain. So if Mariota has to step in, this could change the trajectory of this game real quick. I mean, that's already with the running back situation. Washington kind of get a little hairy with Eckler being out for the season. So a lot of question marks around this game.
yeah. I mean, I probably honestly like Jacoby Myers over this week. I think they'll be in this game, and Washington has a pretty good run defense. They're very stout up the middle, which is kind of where Genti gets most of his work. So I think they'll have to throw the ball again, and Gino loves throwing the ball. He'll sling it. So I think a Jacoby Myers over could very much be in play, and especially if Jaden Daniels doesn't play, I think you might want to grab that under now because I mean Marcus Mariota versus Geno Smith in 2025 does not scream points to me.
No, no, and I mean right now it's listed at 44.5, and we've seen what happened. I mean, they played the Chargers last week. Um, Total 29 versus a good Chargers team. Probably like a similar, maybe a little bit of a lesser defense this week, but nonetheless, still. And then your own offense's production possibly could be going down.
Yeah,
So exciting things to see there. And there's not much to choose from yet. They still have most of the lines aren't in. So we gotta kind of wait on those. Another interesting game. Pitt rolls into New England this week. Pitt coming off a big loss to Seattle. New England coming in after their first win of the season against Miami in a close game. A lot of points. Gonna be interesting. I mean, the Steelers secondary has been straight, for lack of better words, ass. I mean, they have not done anything this year. I mean, they've gotten torched
no,
now week after week, for 32 times in a row to the Jets and Seattle, which Seattle didn't even put up 2 touchdowns on San Fran.
no. And I mean, this kind of comes back to what we were saying earlier on in the year when we covered this is, yeah, you got Jalen Ramsey, but you just gave up an all pro, one of the best safeties in the NFL on the spectrum, so it's kind of it's kind of like a hit or miss. Now you're better outside on the corner, but you don't have that guy over the top that was blocking. They cut off, half the field over the top.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing too is like now you're dependent upon Jalen Ramsey and Joey Porter Jr. and it's just not working out. It's not, and your TJ Watt's been non-existent 2 games in a row. They're just they're handling business against TJ Watt on these like mainly stretch runs, zone runs. Week after week now between Brees Hall, and then last week, Walker, who is I by far also the clear cut RB1 over in Seattle. Charbonnet had a moment for the San Fran game, but I think it's clear still. Walker is number 1 over there. But I don't know. I don't personally like anything from this game.
I The one thing that I do like this week for this game would probably be Jalen Warren on the over receptions. I think his line is currently 2.5, if I am correct, which it is at -149. And he's one of the most productive backs out of the backfield in the pass game in the NFL. And I think the Pats defense, they are pretty stout over the top. They're not a really big play. They will let you they'll let you kill them, play after play with 4-yard gains. They're not going to let you get 30 yards of play. So I think this could be a big Jalen Warren through the air game. And Aaron Rodgers does like his checkdowns. He's a smart quarterback, so he'll take those.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be the Jalen Warren show as usual, week after week. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him with over 2 catches. I think that's easy.
Yeah.
Next game we're rolling into a interesting game with hurt quarterbacks with Cincinnati going to Minnesota. Jake Frowning starting in Cincy, and we got Carson Wentz back from the dead over here in Minnesota. Not sure what to expect. Frowning 3 picks last week when he came in for Burrow. Carson Wentz we haven't seen in a while. The only bright side for Wentz is, you do have Kevin O'Connell as your head coach here, who's played well with quarterbacks who haven't traditionally done that well. We saw it last year with Sam Darnold after JJ went down. So interesting to see this game.
Yeah, I'm expecting, no Aaron Jones, which is another big loss there for the Vikings. So I think this will be it will be a slow burn of a game. I think the Vikings are really going to try and run the ball and be more methodical with their offense. But I think the Bengals are probably going to try to run the ball, but they're not. I don't think they'll have nearly as much success against a stout Vikings defense. So I think you'll be seeing a lot of Jamar Chase again. I think you'll see a lot of quick bubble screens, quick passes to him, try to get him the ball, get him open, rather than just doing what he normally does.
I agree. And then on the flip side, I think in Minnesota, you're going to see them. They're going to hand the ball off a lot. I think to Jordan Mason. He's pretty explosive as back. His line right now is tough still, regardless. It's sitting at I believe 70 and a half, 75, 76 and a half, depending on which one you're using. That's a lot. I mean, regardless of first string, second string, who you're playing, that's tough. Granted, the only bright spot is like Etienne last week kind of torched him. So,
Yeah.
maybe with him being the clear cut, RB1 there, wouldn't be surprised, but nonetheless, it's still a tough line.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing on this game really is just gonna be Jamar Chase at 6.5 over. It's plus money for him to get 7 catches, which we saw it last week. Even when Jake Browning came in through 3 quarters, he still got that line with Jake Browning. So I don't think it should be too much of a problem. He's still the main guy by far.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Jamar Chase probably prime for another touchdown.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. And I think, honestly, I might be slamming the under as well.
Oof.
The line's a little low, but
yeah, that's my issue. Is it's sitting at 42 and a half right now. I mean, that's 3 scores each side.
The one question mark in this game about that would be Carson Wentz. It's tough because what is Carson? We haven't seen him in so long. What is he going to show and bring? Maybe he gets JJ involved a lot more than McCarthy was, and that could really alter things. But it's just tough. We don't know who we're getting, so probably avoid it. But I think coming out of this week into next week, that is a line to watch if JJ is not playing again.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this goes. Um, we roll over into Jacksonville next as Houston comes into town. Jaguars coming off a tough loss to Cincinnati. Houston, same situation against Tampa. Texans have not gotten their offense going at all. Jags are kind of rolling on the offensive side of the ball with a couple question marks, but Texans got a tough defense. I mean, Trevor Lawrence might be on his back for half the day, so tough to see that. But ETN has looked great over there, and I think that's the biggest thing too. Is like Tampa ran the ball down the stretch pretty decent against them, so I wouldn't be surprised to see ETN do decently well, and then Tua as well. So it's gonna be interesting to see this game.
Yeah, no, it should be a fun one. I don't really know what to expect out of this. It's one of those weird ones. I could see a Jacksonville offense that finally gets going and gets Brian Thomas involved, even though they are playing a good defense. Or I could see this being another low scoring 14-9 game like we saw week 1 against the Rams for Houston. And I mean, it's just tough. It's one of those games where I'm probably going to avoid most of this game. I don't really love anything. I think Houston's just in a weird spot right now, and it makes it really hard to bet against or for them, really against anyone, honestly.
Yeah, I was gonna say I mean, I'm really looking at Tootin still. The only problem is right now they kind of like roll back the lines. They haven't kept them up for the Jacksonville. They've only shown really Houston lines currently, so I'm gonna keep an eye on those for Tootin, maybe for some receiving props, just because he did get a lot of usage last week, so that's encouraging. Um, that makes us go down over into Seattle, taking on New Orleans. I think this clear cut. New Orleans hasn't been playing bad by no means, but not good enough to either to play, win some games. So I wouldn't be surprised Seattle rolls this one just like they did last week against Pitt.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm just looking at a Kenneth Walker, touchdown on this one. I think that's a gimme this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. The Seahawks, they've been battling. These games have been relatively close. At least they make them somewhat close. But it's just tough. Like, they're not really as bad as you would expect coming out into this year, but they're still bad.
Yeah.
They're still the Saints. So I think I would just probably honestly just take the Seahawks money line because if they could keep this close, I wouldn't be shocked if they cover the spread there for the Saints. But I don't see a world where they win this. I think they're just really in a rebuild slot right now, and it's going to be a tough year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the only thing I might touch for, the Saints, I might go like an alternate line, maybe go with like Jawan Johnson, obviously the clear cut target over there for Rattler. It's like his little safety blanket, so to say.
Yep.
That honestly, it's gonna be tough to look on that side because especially with the way Seattle's defense work, Kamara catches out of the backfield are gonna be tough to come by, because they do, they send their secondary off the blitz a lot. With guys like Devin Witherspoon. I mean, it's gonna be a tough day for Seattle for New Orleans in this one, I think.
Yeah, I don't mind, Jawan Johnson, 5 catches here. It's plus money at plus 100, and he's hit this the past 5 games, 4 games. He's cleared it pretty easily. So I want to be shocked to see him have another solid game with a struggling QB.
Yeah, and I mean that's the other thing is like they're gonna probably throw the ball 40 times. So
Yeah.
then this brings us down to a good game for this week. We got Denver Chargers. Denver coming out of a tough loss against the Colts. Kind of a little controversial. But then Chargers rolling 2 weeks in a row, beating the Chiefs and the Raiders convincingly. Um, good one to get you going for this Sunday though, because Denver's got some question marks with Bo Nix. He's not playing well. He's just kind of like a dicey quarterback currently. Meanwhile, you got Herbert, who's just slinging.
Yeah. Should be a fun one. I think it's gonna be a lot of the Denver. I think the Chargers are gonna try and mimic almost in a sense of what the Colts did, of a really good pass attack that opens up that run game. We've seen them; they've been loving throwing the ball this year so far throughout the first 2 weeks with Herbert, and they have a lot of weapons. The weapons look good. And Denver kind of struggled on defense more than you would expect. So I think, it could be another good day for guys like Quentin Johnston and Ladd McConkey. And I just don't see I mean, Chargers could lose this game, but I think they're just firing. They're on all cylinders right now. They're very hot, and Herbert looks amazing. I think they're just in a good spot, and they're just getting better week by week. So I really like the Chargers to come out and take this.
Yeah, I agree. I think Chargers take this game. I'm a little in the middle with how which receiver is going to be the guy this week. Just the way they line up though. I know with Keenan Allen coming in here now, Ladd McConkey's getting a less opportunities out of the slot. So it makes it a little tough, but honestly, I like either Keenan Allen or Ladd in this one. Their lines are relatively the same, 50 to 59 yards each. I'm fine with either one of those this week. I think you'll see Johnson probably get the majority share of being lined up against Patrick Surtain. Always kind of want to avoid Surtain on this one. I mean, he's just good. He's just so good, and he plays it so well on the outside. So, out of the slot, Dan Jones torched him last week. So wouldn't be surprised to see that.
No, I think really it comes down to one of those two guys, and I also kind of like the under on Najee Harris rush attempts here. It's at 7.5. Denver's got a really tough defense on the inside, and that's where Najee is going to get his work on this offense. He's not going to be that guy who gets those outside runs that will go to Hampton every time. So Najee's really here for inside runs, and against a very stout run defense up the middle, I don't see much of a world where they go back to that, many times in this game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just tough over there with that running back situation because, Hampton's still playing number one, but at the same time, it's he's not really producing too much. So I don't know how long they're going to give him before they make the switch completely.
Well, I don't know if I'm really worried about that. I think it's more so he's not getting too many opportunities. I mean, this run game has really been very slow in terms of they're not running the ball as much as anyone expected them to. I thought we would see a lot more carries, maybe 30 carries a game for these guys, 30 runs a game. But we're seeing about 18 for the running backs, which is pretty low considering where we thought we'd be at. So it's a weird one. I think they might adjust over the year, go back to more of that running style. I think they might want to keep these guys fresh, keep their legs fresh as we move into the year because they have high hopes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's a long season, so nothing's off the table still. This rolls us into our next one. It's kind of going to be an interesting game. Dallas rolls into Chicago to play the Bears.
Yeah.
Dallas coming off a big win last week off the Giants in overtime. Bears coming off an embarrassing loss against Detroit. This could be another similar game for both teams, just a high-scoring game. Both defenses are going to struggle, especially against the pass. I mean, Chicago's top corner done for the year with a groin injury. Dallas, Diggs is back, but he's not back. I would not be surprised to see this one go high here. I mean, the line's 50. I wouldn't mind taking over 50, no problem. But, I mean, the story of this game is going to be the quarterback play. Dak's played well 2 games in a row, so wouldn't be surprised, he'll do well again. It's going to be, how does Caleb Williams performs in this offense, against a lesser team, I should say. Um, it's gonna be a good one though. I think this will be a high scoring affair though.
Yeah, I think this will be a high scoring affair. My favorite line on this probably is Caleb Williams rushing attempts. I think his line's currently at 4.5, and I mean it's been cash money all year. I've been taking this all year. Caleb Williams over rush attempts has been about a 4.5 every game, and he's cleared it. And we know he loves to scramble. We know he loves to make plays with his legs and on the move. So I expect that. I expect it'll be a lot easier this week when a high scoring game against the Dallas defense who doesn't rush the passer as much or as effectively as they did previously. And then I think my second favorite line would probably be the Cole Kmet under 2.5 catches. Uh, he's not looked he hasn't looked all that involved this year, and even at the end of last year, I mean, he really wasn't getting too many looks. And with Colston Loveland in the mix now, I know they're in a Ben Johnson system. He loves his tight ends, but it seems to be a lot of Romo Dunze and DJ Moore really holding all those targets. So I just don't. I mean, Dallas is pretty good against tight ends. They don't allow too much up, so I don't mind that.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like Ben Johnson loves his tight ends, but we're getting no tight end play really out of Chicago. Kokomet kind of been stone cold, not really getting the ball. And then Loveland's non-existent. I mean, 2 games around, I think he has 1 catch in game 1, and that I don't even know if he got a target last week, but it's gonna be tough. I think the biggest thing I think going into this game that I like just coming off of last week's momentum is Roma Dunze for over 60 yards. I think last week big week for him, but like now you're gonna get a much lesser matchup. I think in Dallas. Wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised to see this line go over. They're gonna throw the ball. Wouldn't mind a Javante Williams touchdown either. Um, he's scoring every game, especially near you get down inside the 10, they're handing the ball off. So gonna be an
yeah,
interesting
no,
mix here.
should be fun. Should be a solid game, I think.
Um, Leads us to another division showdown though. Arizona rolls into San Fran, both 2-0. Big game, division game. Story of the Niners still, just injuries. Cardinals playing on pretty much airplane mode, just kind of cruising through. Um,
Mhm.
I still got 49ers in this one. I think, Shanahan has Mac Jones. He likes Mac Jones. Mac Jones performed well, 300 yards last week, pretty much. McCaffrey's back, playing well. I think it's going to come down to Jawan Jennings. Is he healthy? Is he not? And if so, does Pearsall step up this week? I think he can, and I think he would. So, going to be an interesting one coming in here into San Fran.
Yeah, it should be it should be a relatively good game. Um, it's been interesting to see the offense there in San Fran without these guys last week. Brock Purdy and George Kittle, but it should be fun. I expect San Fran to come in and win this one. I think Carolina's going to get a wake up call this year. They've had 2 easy games. They've been pretty close. They look like they're kind of like not really. It looks like they don't care enough. It's weird. Like they're just kind of losing focus. They think it's going to be a blowout, and you can't do that in the NFL. I think San Fran with Mac Jones will have a pretty fun game against a pretty mid at best defense. So
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it's like the other thing is too is like the reluctancy to just get your wide receiver one the ball with Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, you're not going to feed your top guy, top pick. You picked him up in the draft 2 years ago now. He's just not getting the share that he needs. And we've seen like against 49ers now, the number one guys, they get fed and they do well. Like, JSN week 1, 100-yard game against this defense. And, Harrison could do the same, but he's not going to get those touches. So I think this is a clear cut game. 49ers should probably I wouldn't be even against 49ers possibly even covering the spread of 3 here.
yeah, I wouldn't be against that at all. And another play I'm like a good amount here would be a James Conner under receiving yards. I think his line's 13.5. And we've seen him lose a decent amount of work. in the pass game here this year to Trey Benson, and Trey Benson's made some pretty explosive plays. So I think Trey Benson's earned that passing down running back as of right now. San Fran, Fred Warner's hawking down that running back, so I don't really love it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one 100%. This rolls us over to Sunday night. Chiefs, roll into New York, New Jersey, whatever you want to call it, and East Rutherford down to the Giants. Chiefs coming off a tough loss to the Eagles, Giants coming off a tough loss to Dallas in OT. I mean, but both teams on different sides of the coin here. Like, Giants finally get their offense going last week, but cannot play defense to save their life. Vice versa on the other side. Kansas City cannot get the offense rolling, and their defense, holds up pretty well 2 weeks in a row. Maybe not so much week 1, but week 2 only giving up 20 to Philly. Interesting game. Giants, run game is non-existent, I would say. Strictly worked off 400-yard passing game from, Russell Wilson last week with Neighbors pretty much and Wan'Dale Robinson, which is very encouraging for them, but a much tougher matchup this week on the offensive side of the ball for them. So I don't know what to expect too much. I think, you'll probably see a lot of checkdowns, Wan'Dale. They're going to work Neighbors in. It's just a matter if he can get in space, and if so, how much we're talking about here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a weird game. The Giants' defensive lines look pretty solid in getting to the quarterback, but secondary looks very spotty. Drew Phillips looks okay in the slot. Cordell Flot's made some plays, but it just seems like they're just giving up so many free yards in a way where, it's just a big play in a sense. And it doesn't look like, if the pass rush isn't there for the Giants right now, it kind of looks like the other team's just going to drive. So I think it's an interesting one because KC's look pretty spotty. The offenses look relatively, terrible, to say the least. I mean, Travis Kelce has not looked like Travis Kelce at all. But Xavier Worthy, they are hopeful he's back this game, and I see him causing problems for this secondary of the Giants.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I mean, it's going to come down if the Giants can't get the pass rush. Like, even if they do, I mean, they still got to bring Mahomes down. Mahomes is moving around this pocket really well this year. So I think regardless, it's going to be tough no matter how the defensive line does.
Yeah. My favorite plays on this one probably have to be Wan'Dale over 4.5. I think he'll see a lot more checkdowns. Russ talks very highly of Wan'Dale. He likes that connection a lot, as we've seen. I mean, we're seeing Wan'Dale get go balls, which we never saw in the past of his career so far. It's actually insane. But they're also using him in the quick game, which is what he's more known for, and I think he'll get a good amount of targets this game. And then also, the line's currently not on there, but I did see it earlier at 2.5 for Isaiah Pacheco receptions, and I do like the under. He's pretty not involved at all in this pass game. We saw that last year. They ran 3 backs, Kareem Hunt and Samaje Perine. Perine was the main third down back. And this year, even if it's a 2-man backfield, we've seen Kareem Hunt kind of take those. He's kind of taken those goal line opportunities and those third down opportunities because of his pass work ability. So I think he goes under again. He's been under this line 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
Last 10 games.
Yeah, I don't mind that one. The only other one I was looking at was Slayton. They have him over 1.5. I mean, this guy's non-existent in this Giants offense, so I'm taking the under. Honestly, and the under is at plus money, so even better.
Yeah, he's non-existent in this team.
No.
I'm still finding where they paid the money to for what production they paid for it.
Seriously. And then this rolls us into what could potentially be the best game of the week. We got the Lions coming off a hot week against the Bears, rolling down into Baltimore to play Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I'm expecting some tutties. Some tutties. I mean, probably Derrick Henry bouncing back after a slow week last week. Detroit probably to try to keep on rolling. I mean, we've seen, Baltimore struggle down the stretch against Bills. Just putting up 40 points on them, and this Detroit team, regardless Ben Johnson's not there anymore or not, they got the weapons. They proved it last week. St. Brown 3 touchdowns. Jameson Williams goes off. Jahmyr Gibbs, Monty's still running that backfield. Jared Goff still slinging. Not surprised to see it. It's going to be a good week for this one.
Yeah, it should be a good one. I really think this will be a fun game to watch. I like the over, like you said. I think there'll be a lot of points involved into this one. We saw Detroit hit this line by themselves against Chicago last week. And the Baltimore Ravens, who offense, quite frankly, looks pretty unstoppable. Whether it's through the air or on the ground, they kill you with both. And Detroit's defense does not look amazing, to say the least. It's been pretty spotty here through the first 2 weeks. I think Aiden Hutchinson's still trying to get comfortable off that massive injury from last year. And the secondary's pretty weak, if we're being honest, outside of Brian Branch and maybe a guy or two. So I think it should be fun. I think Zay Flowers, not listed right now, but his line I saw was 6.5. He's hit this past 2 weeks here in opening football. So, and against a weak Detroit team, I think he should clear 6.5 catches. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, 3.5. Pretty low line for Jahmyr Gibbs, especially for receptions. I mean, you saw him get 10, just a couple weeks ago. He should clear this. It should be a shootout. It should be a fun one.
Yeah, I like the Jahmyr Gibbs one. That's what I was seeing too. I mean, especially if they're putting points up, they're gonna have to throw the ball. The other one I liked, I saw Sam Laporta's line is at over under 44.5. I'm liking the under on this one. The production's just not been there for Sam Laporta. I know he's got some nagging injuries also. And it's clear cut, they're throwing to the running backs, they're throwing to Jameson Williams, throwing to St. Brown. I mean, I just don't think this is his spot, especially against this team. They got good linebackers, with Roquan Smith here. It's going to be a tough one for them. So I'm liking those.
Yeah, I mean, you got Roquan Smith, and then you also got Kyle Hamilton and, Malik Stark.
Malachi Starks, yeah.
Yeah, Malachi Starks to guard him. I'm sure they play a decent amount of man because they have the guys. They have, Jair Alexander and Nate Wiggins on the outside and boundary. So should be a tough one for Sam Laporta. He's not much of a separator at the tight end position. He's more of a big body, and they got some big bodies that are very athletic over there.
They're a physical team on defense in Baltimore.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that's the week this week. We got some good games. We got some not so good games probably, but it all starts tonight on Thursday night. Probably not going to see this in time, but Buffalo's going to roll. Buffalo will roll.
Buffalo is going to roll, I think. And like I said, I expect a solid game and a run for this Buffalo team. And I think Miami will be solid through the air, but I just don't see them keeping up.
Yeah, no, same. I think they'll do better than they've shown kind of in the last couple of weeks, but they won't. They probably won't piece this together. I mean, I think, what did I see? I see like 99% of the bets placed were against Miami this week. So,
yeah, I mean, there's a reason for that.
There's a reason, and the proof's in the pudding. I mean, we're going to see it here in a couple hours.
I mean, the line is a little crazy right now. They're plus 12.5. That is a lot of points for an offense that can score, and we've seen it. But it's a little spotty.
So I'm gonna avoid that. But again, though, we're rolling through these teams. We're rolling through these props. If we see some of these lines start popping up a little bit more because they're kind of a little bit in between right now. They're not really moving. They're kind of holding out. Kind of see where these lines shift. We'll post more, on the Twitter page. We'll add, if we can, we'll get a short in, with some of these picks. Check that out. Check out TikTok. We'll make sure we get some of this content out for you guys in time. Feel free to tail with us. If so, share it with us. We're excited to see people winning some bets, winning some money. That's what we're here for.
We're all here to make some money.
We're all here to make some money. Hopefully not lose too much. Don't bet the house, but everybody's got to make a living here.
We're ready to make some money and watch some good football. That's what we all came here for. And that's what, that's the goal.
But once again, we're the Basement Boys, coming at you. And, we'll recap again, come next week. And we'll catch you guys from there.
Yep. Later.
All right. See you guys.